There was a question already in the chat. There will be a recording.
Yes, absolutely.
Shared with
All right,
you.
we're live on YouTube. Hi, everyone there. Yes, there will be a recording. It will be in your email inbox tomorrow. And speaking of recording, let me start that here. Is that recording now? Resume recording. Go. Perfect. All right, let's do it. Then welcome everyone to this 9X Live workshop on building a Make AI agent. I'm joined as well by Alex and Justine from the 9X team. So throughout the session, please feel free to use the chat. Alex will be answering some questions live, but also, yeah, we want to make this as interactive as possible. So drop your questions in the chat and Alex will interrupt me where it makes sense. So what do we have in store today? Well, first of all, before I get into the agenda, one thing that I do want to make sure is if you do plan to follow along with the live build at the end of the workshop, is make sure you've done the pre-workshop preparation. So there's a couple of things you need to have set up so that you can follow along as quickly as possible in the live build. So I think Justine will be dropping a link to that in the chat as we speak. But basically here, just some quick documentation. Obviously, we're building a Make AI agent, so you need to have a Make account set up. Also, we will be using Airtable for storing some information that our agent is going to work with, and you will need an AI provider. So my big recommendation, since we're building a copywriting agent, will be using Claude, but you can also use Gemini or ChatGPT. So all of the instructions here are in the pre-workshop preparation guide. And that one was all good to share in the chat. Yeah, I see it in there. Perfect. All right, so what do we have in store? A little quick of a quick introduction for me and the 9X team, a little bit about what we do. Then I wanted, because we do have some beginners here, touch on the basics of AI agents, what we call AI Agents 101. And then we'll be moving into the part of the agent that we'll be building together. First of all, I'll give you a quick demo of what it does. So it's always useful to see the end result before you start building something. Then, because we are building an agent that is specially trained on writing good copy, we'll dive in a little bit on the methodology about how we can actually teach agents to write good copy. And then we'll all jump in together and start on the live build. We will have some time for Q&A at the end, but as I mentioned, please, drop in the chat whenever you have any questions.
One thing, Jan, on
Yeah.
the setup, when you will start, there is a question on Make connected to Airtable via OAuth.
Yes,
A lot of people, just when you will start, something to explain. Ole.
exactly. Awesome. Well, so for those of you that don't know us yet, a quick introduction. So my name is Jan. I'm one of the co-founders of 9X, alongside Alex, who's also in the call, and Pierre-Yves, and we also have Justine from 9X in the call as well. So at 9X, we're all about building a one-stop shop to learn AI and automation. So we really believe that AI and automation are the most important skills to learn right now if you're a business professional. And it's basically our mission to bring you these skills on a silver platter. And we do this in a few different ways, starting with, first of all, through our YouTube channel. So we publish free AI and automation tutorials, demos, and news each and every week. So every week we're releasing at least one video. It's completely free. So make sure to subscribe to the 9X YouTube channel, which I think Justine will be dropping a link in the chat. Then as well, secondly, we do this through our live workshops like the one that you're all currently in. We run these each and every week, and this is what we have in store next week, which I'm very, very excited about. So we're actually going to be joined by Dominic, who's the founder of both Fillout and Zeit. So Zeit is a very, very powerful new AI tool that has a very interesting take on vibe coding, and it's really focused on vibe coding internal business applications based on your internal business data. So Dominic's going to give us a full rundown, and I actually found out this is the very first live workshop that Zeit are ever doing. So we're very fortunate for them to be doing it with us on one of these 9X live workshops. I think we've already got close to more than 500, close to 600 people already signed up for this one. So yeah, check the link in the chat to also sign up for next week's workshop. Then finally, how else we're teaching this, bringing these skills on a silver platter, is through our courses. So we've really structured our courses to take you all the way from beginner to advanced. First of all, through our intro course, the AI Starter, which is really about allowing you to discover what's possible with AI. Then our AI operator, where you'll learn how to become productive with AI at work. This is really to show you the tips and tricks of using AI as your co-pilot. And then finally, our most advanced program, the AI Builder, which some of you might be interested in since you're in this workshop here, which is really how you can learn to automate with AI and build AI-powered automations as well as AI agents. So a little quick breakdown into those two courses. First of all, you can see here the modules on the AI operator. It's really about improving your AI literacy. So we have one module on the AI foundation, so you can even understand what is generative AI, what can it do, and then moving into AI in practice. So mastering AI chat solutions. And then obviously for business professionals, what's very important is using AI responsibly. So that's the third module of the AI operator. And then when it comes to our AI builder program, which also includes everything in the AI operator, this is really about giving you the technical fundamentals. So now basically building these automations has become more and more available to non-technical business people, but there are still some technical foundations that you need to understand to be quite comfortable with this, and that's what we basically teach in our AI Builder program. If you're interested and maybe don't know which course is for you, this is something new that we're trying, so feel free to scan the QR code and book a chat with us. So we've just got 15-minute free calls where you can just tell us what you're trying to achieve with AI, and we can see if maybe one of our courses is the right fit. So I'll leave that QR code on the screen for a little bit while I ask Alex, are there any questions in the chat before we move into AI Agents 101?
So far, so good. There were a couple of questions again on this OAuth setup with Airtable at the beginning, but we'll get to that. So everyone, for those of you who have already set that up, congrats. And for those who haven't and have questions, we'll make sure to cover that at the very beginning.
Yeah, perfect. And maybe I can just say, because I've seen that we've reached the capacity on Zoom, if anyone is watching on YouTube, in the YouTube description, you also find the links that you need both to that pre-workshop prep guide and also to the live build instructions that we'll be using later. So make sure to check the YouTube description. All right, let's get then into a bit of theory, AI Agents 101. And I want to start with breaking down a little bit the differences between automations, what is an AI workflow, and what is an AI agent. So this was actually a post that Alex posted last December, which resonated quite a lot on the topic of AI agents. So here he really broke down what are the key differences, and you can see here from the table, also these slides we will be sharing after the workshop as well, so you can have a closer look, that really automation is very linear. It's really for deterministic predefined tasks. With an AI workflow, it's basically an automation that would involve an AI step, and we'll see an example of this. It's still very deterministic. It's still data moving from point A to point B in one direction, whereas where AI agents differ is that AI agent strengths come from the fact that they leverage fuzzy logic and that they are autonomous. And so they're well suited for specific tasks which are non-deterministic and adaptive. And many AI agents that we saw, let's say people sharing on LinkedIn and on YouTube, weren't actually AI agents or didn't need to be. And the one point we're trying to make here is, even now that AI agents are available, not everything needs to be an AI agent. And in the vast majority of the cases, you can see here in the examples down below, maybe an automation is enough, or maybe an AI workflow is enough. But obviously, since this workshop is around AI agents, I want to give you an example of some of the benefits of AI agents. So imagine we want to have a Slack assistant that we set up. So here I was basically just putting into plain language what I want this Slack assistant to be able to do. So I want to be able to send a message on Slack, and based on that message, I want one of three things to happen: that we either create a new task in Notion, log a content idea in Airtable, or draft an email in Gmail. So this is really meant to be my little personal assistant in Slack. Maybe I'm on the go and I have a new idea for a YouTube video. I can just drop it a message and it will create the content idea in Airtable. A lot of times I remember that I need to do tasks but forget to jot them down, so I can just drop a message in Slack and create a new task. So if we were looking at this, theoretically this could be an AI workflow. So I have a little demo set up here in Make, example of an AI router. So a message comes in Slack. We just have an OpenAI module that basically determines which of these actions are we currently doing? And then it can basically route them. If a task needs to be created, we go down this path and create it in Notion. If we want to log a content idea, we go down this path and log it in Airtable. And finally, we can draft an email. So in this case, okay, maybe we don't need an AI agent, but what happens when we want to send a message to this assistant that looks something like this? So say, hey, I need to work on a new YouTube video, how to build your first AI agent in Make. Can you please create 3 tasks for writing the script, recording the video, and creating the thumbnail? Now, a message like this is quite tricky to be solved by an automation like this because it adds complexity. Sure, it's possible, but here, all our automation is able to do is have AI look at the message coming in and then only do one of these things at a time. Whereas now if we have a look at an AI agent that I have here set up in Make, my Slack assistant, if you're new to Make, also new to AI agents, don't worry, I'm going to go through all of the things that you're seeing here on the screen in a little while. Let me just move my Zoom controls. Now I can actually try this. So this is an agent that I have set up. We can see it's got those same 3 possibilities: logging a content idea, drafting an email, or creating a task in Notion. So let me just go and actually recreate that one. So I'm just going to type here, I need to work on a new YouTube video, how to build your first Make AI agent. Can you please create these 3 tasks? Write the script, record the video, and create the thumbnail. So this is my message to my Slack assistant, and here I'm sending it to my AI agent. And we can see what's happening now is our agent is kicking in, and just like that, it's actually realized that it needs to use this create a task in Notion. This was actually quite quick and impressive. And what we can see here is it's decided to use this create a task in Notion tool 3 times, 1 for each task. And now if I open up, it spit back the task link so I can even check. And here we go. I have my task in Notion, write the script, how to build your first Make AI agent. So this is an example of where AI agents, because every time I send a message to my Slack assistant, it's not determined how many things need to be done. Is it creating 1 task, 2, 3, multiple? Am I maybe going to send a message where it needs to create a task and log a content idea? So in cases like this, there's a big advantage of AI agents. And so just on that demo, were there any questions already, Alex, in the chat that we should jump on, or we're good to move ahead?
I am battling, but so far I'm handling it and it's good. We have some questions on tools, not necessarily related to what you're showing right now, so it's good.
Perfect. Awesome. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an understanding, and to show you even more detail, just what AI agents can do. Let's break down the capabilities of AI agents into key categories. So first of all, perception. So agents are able to gather information from their environment, often through data inputs like text, images, or other sensory data. Next up comes decision making. So agents can process information and determine the best course of action based on predefined goals or learned experiences. Then comes action. So obviously our agents can decide what to do, but then they need to act. Agents can execute tasks or commands to achieve outcomes. And AI agents, it's getting closer and closer, will be able to pretty much do anything that humans can do via a web browser. Next up comes communication. So agents can interact with both users, but also other systems, often through either natural language or through API calls. Then comes learning, and this is the important part, that agents are not static. They can improve their performance over time by analyzing past outcomes and adapting. And these categories basically form the backbone of any AI agent. Now that's what they can do in terms of what are the components of AI agents. And here there's 6 that I want to take a look at so that you can see what are the different areas you'll be able to, like, let's say, tweak and use when creating your AI agent. And I'm going to use that Slack assistant agent as an example. So first of all, what is basically powering these AI agents is a large language model. And this is often referred to as the agent's brain. This gives the agent its ability to make decisions. So in this case here, where I basically gave this message to my agent, it was able to make the decision that it needs to use the create a task in Notion tool 3 times. where we basically see this, and when we set this up, you'll see this from scratch. But basically here in Make in the agent settings, you'll notice here there's a connection. And whenever we create an AI agent, what we can do is connect to the different large language model providers. So in this case, my agent is connected to my Anthropic account. And then I can basically pick for my agent which large language model should it use. So here I'm using Sonnet 4. That's what we'll be using later for writing as well. If you have your OpenAI account connected, then you can select GPT-5. If you have your Gemini account connected, you can select Gemini 2.5 Pro or Flash. And what's really good about this flexibility that you see here, it's simply just picking from a dropdown. When new models are released that are more powerful, all we need to do is go into our agent settings and basically select the newer model, and all of a sudden our agent just became that much smarter. So the first sort of component is this large language model that's powering the AI agent. Then really what comes next, and the most important factor when building your AI agent, I would say, are the agent instructions, or often called the system prompt. So if we have a look here at our Slack assistant, here I've got on the left-hand side this system prompt, these instructions, and this is listing out all of the details that I think my agent should use when so that it knows when to make which decision. So it's obviously equipped with a brain, but what's really guiding the decisions it make are the instructions that we put here in our system prompt. And that would be one area that I'd say is when you're building these AI agents, if you're not happy with the performance, first go and check is, am I basically giving enough information in my system prompt? Then comes tools. So what we have with just a large language model and the instructions is it can make decisions, but in order for it to act, we equip our agent with different tools. And here we can see in Make, I've got 3 different tools to log a content idea, draft an email, or create a task in Notion. And now if you are new to Make, basically all of these tools, we have to create as what are known as scenarios. So for instance, I can open up this log a content idea tool in Make. And what this is a separate scenario that I've built. And whenever you're creating these agent tools, what you basically need to provide are some inputs. And what you can basically, how you can think of this is whenever the agent is going to use that tool, it needs to fill in a form. And what you're doing here by adding these inputs to this tool is saying, what information does the agent need to provide to the tool so that it can complete its task? So in this case, this tool is about logging a content idea in an Airtable base. And in order to log a content idea, our agent needs to provide 2 things, an idea title and an idea description. Then we just go and basically set up our Airtable module here. We have a content machine base in our Airtable where we log all of our content ideas. And I've simply mapped the title of the idea and the description. So it's just going to create a record in the content machine and then send back to the agent the link of that created content idea, which was the exact same way as we had it with Notion, which is how it's able to basically find the link of the task that was created. So our agents have large language model, instructions, and tools. Our agents also have memory, and this one's very important, that it allows our agents to basically remember past interactions. So for instance, here, if I'm in my agent chat, and let's say, can you create another one for drafting the description? If I send this one off here, we can see just like that, without our agent asking anything, it knows it needs to create another task in Notion. And what is basically said is it's connected to the same video that I was talking about before. If I open up a new chat and just basically paste in that same message saying, can you create another one for drafting the YouTube description? Our agent doesn't remember what happened before. This is like a brand new, let's say, thread is how it's known. And so that the ability for agents to remember past interactions in a certain thread really enables it to be a lot more creative. So here it's having some issues now because it doesn't know what one we're talking about, what about drafting the YouTube description, and it's basically not able to complete the task. So memory is very important, and you will be using memory when we build later on, so that everything that happens in a conversation, it's remembering the past interactions. Then next up comes knowledge. So with our agents, we can basically provide additional resources or knowledge, and Make have made this very, very easy with their AI agents. So what I've basically done here is I've added a file with some context. And what this basically file includes is all information that our agent needs in order to basically use its draft and email tool. So for instance, if I say something like, can you draft an email to my co-founder Piv and send him my calendar link. So this is something that no agent would really, like no large language model would know who my co-founder Piv is or what my calendar link is. Here it's asking me from, and let me even be a bit more, search your context. Sometimes it nails it straight away. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So now what's kicking in, it's basically looking up in its email knowledge file. And you can see it's found that in my contacts, I have my co-founder Piv, and I also have my calendar link in there. And now it was able to basically draft an email. And you can see it successfully was able to find my correct calendar link and draft that in my email. So giving your agent access to knowledge also improves its performance. And finally, this one is probably the most advanced component, is cooperation. So agents can actually cooperate with each other. And I know Make are planning a lot more around this right now. The only way that we can basically add other agents into our agent workflows is you would also add them here as tools. But the way you could think about this is you could have one agent that makes decisions and then have very specialized agents that it can delegate tasks to. So they're the core components. And I just want you to keep this in mind while we're building out our AI agent. And so Alex, on this, have we got some questions?
Yes, and somehow I lost it. No, very good. So on the topic of knowledge,
Yes.
what are the different options that you outlined again? We had a question in the chat from Urjit. I hope I'm not butchering your name. Is Make AI agent able to store information the same as like inside a vector database? So what are the different options Make offers to store information and to populate the knowledge?
Yeah, so what Make have done, which I think is quite good because it really is beginner friendly. So when you use this context feature, what you're able to do is upload files. So it can be text files, PDF, docx, CSV, Markdown, or JSON. So in my case, it was Markdown, and we'll be using Markdown later on as well. And what Make does, it basically handles the vectorizing for you. So this will be stored in a vector database, and you can see when your agent basically realizes it needs to go and look up that knowledge, it makes a query to the files that you have here. So here it basically queried Piv co-founder email address, contact information, and then it pulled back this information from my knowledge Markdown. Now, what you can also do is use existing vector database solutions and basically either connect via MCP or tools. But I think for most cases, you can think about this as like the same way you can add context and files to custom GPTs. They've made it very, very beginner friendly. So I would always start like this. Then if you need some more technical stuff and you want to create your own vector database, but in most cases, I actually prefer to let Make handle all that technical stuff. And I just upload my files here that I need my agent to refer to. Perfect.
I'm just looking quickly in the chat. I think there was.
I want to see an example of Markdown.
Yes, one example of Markdown, but you're going to get to it at some point.
Yes, we're going to be heavy on Markdown in the next
Already in one of the slides, so you get a Markdown 101 in the next.
Perfect. All right, so that is a quick like Agents 101. Now, what we can move to before we obviously get into the live build session, what I want to do is just give you a demo of the agent that we'll be actually building. So what this is going to be is going to be a YouTube to blog agent. So we have a YouTube video and we're going to give it to an agent that it writes a full published blog article for that YouTube video. We're going to do this using Make AI agents. Now, what I want to preface here is this current use case is about turning a YouTube video into a blog article. What I'm going to show you along the way are the best practices for writing copy in general. So whether you want an agent to write LinkedIn posts, to write YouTube scripts, to write whatever it may be, X posts, try and think not so much about the blog article, but the methodology that I'm showing you here and how you can apply it to different use cases. And also the fact that I'm basically building this in a little bit of a system that we can add onto later. So what I basically have prepared, and I hopefully everyone was able to clone this, is I have a little Airtable base here. And in this Airtable base is videos that we are pulling in. So these are 5 of our latest videos from our 9X YouTube channel. We have here the video title, the description, the date they were published, the thumbnail, but more importantly, we also have the full transcript of the video. And you might be thinking, okay, like how could we go and pull this in? All of this data was actually filled via a make scenario. So what I basically have here is a little make automation that whenever a YouTube video gets released, we trigger this make scenario. We're then going to use Gemini API because Gemini has the abilities. You can just give it, hey, here's a YouTube video, and we can check out the prompt that I used. Is in the first part, I simply said, hey, this is the YouTube video. And then I just added provide a word-for-word transcript of this video, and Gemini spits us out the whole transcript, and then we save this to Airtable. Now, I'm happy to share this workflow blueprint afterwards. That's not what this session is about, but you can really think about automating all of these different steps. So we basically have YouTube videos here being pushed into a Airtable base, and I've also actually created some interfaces to make it a little bit easier. So in the Airtable bases that you clone from the prep guide, I'll walk you through that again so everyone knows how to do it. You also have these 2 interfaces ready to go, but just so I can demo exactly what's happening, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go into this make scenario here, and I'm just going to run this once. And so this will be listening in a second. And let me go back into my YouTube interface. And what I'm going to do is for one of these videos saying the one I tried 325 AI tools, these are the best, I'm just going to select generate draft. And what that's going to do is when I on this video say generate draft, this basically starts this workflow. And what it's done is retrieved everything from that record, and now our agent is getting to work. Now this agent runs typically for about a minute, maybe because I'm doing a live stream, it might take a little bit longer, 2 minutes. So like a good chef, here's one that I prepared earlier. So I also ran this previously on Learn Airtable in 25 minutes crash course. And in this section here, blog articles to review, you can see here now, not just I've got the things coming from YouTube, I also have now a full blog article, which doesn't have the same title as our YouTube video. It's optimized this for blog articles. So rather than Learn Airtable in 25 minutes, it's our Airtable complete guide from beginner to building internal applications. And here we have a full, well-structured blog article that perfectly matches this video. And all of this was basically created by our AI agent. And what we're also able to do is actually provide some feedback. So maybe I say, can you make the intro a little more engaging? I can send that feedback off and our agent will kick in again and basically improve this article. So let's check in on that make scenario that we have. So our agent here is still running. Maybe while this is running, Alex, do we have any questions to touch on?
Going through the chat so far, I don't think so. How are the file types that can be stored inside the vector database, which we replied. So you can share docs, you can share PDF, you can share like what else can you share?
Yeah, so it was docs, PDF, text, CSV, Markdown, and perfect. Just on that, we can see our agent has finished running. I'll also go back over to the section where we can see the different docs. If we head back over to our Airtable base, we can see just like that, we have another blog article. So here it's called The Best AI Tools for 2025, a complete guide to productivity, automation, and business transformation. If we compare that to the very YouTube-oriented title that we had at the start, I tried 325 AI tools, these are the best. We now have a blog-friendly article, which I can basically go and review. You can see it's automatically pulled in all of the tools that I mentioned in that article. It's pretty impressive. And it follows the tone of voice that we want. We have these little pro tips. Maybe right now this isn't seeming that impressive, but you'll see a little bit later on exactly how we've basically trained this up to have this very similar tone. Also, the way that it's communicating in these blog articles is very conversational. I've told it not to use any grandiose terms like game changer and revolutionary. It's basically going to create these articles exactly how I want it, and we're able to like give feedback directly in this interface. So that's the agent that we're going to be building. How it looks like,
huh?
it's very, very good.
Because for those of you who've tried to generate content with AI, we all have. It's pretty good. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
And I would like with all of these, my main purpose in this is like, can I get something to 80, 90% ready that I can just tweak a few words, right? And like this feedback section is really for like if the agent has gone in the completely wrong direction with the article, that it can rewrite it. But I would always make some minor adjustments along the way. But also what's really cool is our agent is instructed to also give suggestions of what images should be placed throughout the article. Obviously, large language models at the moment are mostly text first. And so what's great is we know we can just then take some different 3 or 4 screenshots, and we have very detailed guides of how we can bring this blog article to life. So how this one looks like inside Make, just so that you can see the end result here, is we have a YouTube to blog agent. We have a very clear system prompt. We also have a blog reference like style guide markdown that we've given to our agent. And then we have one tool that it can use to submit the article for review, basically push that article to Airtable. And to actually run our AI agent, we have a simple make scenario here that basically whenever we change something in Airtable, we trigger our AI agent. And you'll notice that there's no Airtable step afterwards because it is a tool inside our AI agent. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding.
Everyone's asking what is inside this first webhook module. How did you configure it?
Yeah, so this one, I'll probably leave that to the end, to be honest, or maybe we can just quickly do it. We will have for the live build we'll do a quick variation on this that's a little bit simpler and beginner friendly. But basically inside Airtable, what you have is you have automations. And I have an automation set up here that whenever one of my videos gets set to generate draft, I'm basically sending a webhook. Now this is going to look very, very intimidating to probably 90% of you. What we're doing here is an API call, which is one of the modules that we have in our AI Builder course, teaching you how to actually send APIs. But all I'm doing here in this API call is sending the record ID of that video in Airtable. So if we have a look here at this scenario, all that we get is an ID of the current row that we're at in Airtable. We then use that to get all the information. So here I'm just saying from my YouTube videos base, here's my record ID, and it's then able to get all of the information from that specific record, which we then feed to our AI agent. So here we have an AI agent where I've basically said, here's the blog page ID, that's the ID of the Airtable record, the video ID, so it knows what video to embed, and then here's the whole video transcript. And what we've basically done here, you'll notice there's this thread ID. That is basically the way that the agent will remember everything that's happened in this same thread. And what we do is we keep, whenever there's one record in Airtable, we use that ID, and that basically allows us to, when I give feedback on this article and ask it to change something, it has context of everything that happened before. It remembers the transcript, it remembers how it wrote the article, and then it enables it to know exactly what to change. Now, if you're brand new to this, that was probably a little bit too fast and too quick, but don't worry, we'll go through everything step by step. And Alex,
it's war in the chat. Help. No, it's good. It's good.
It's good.
There's questions on the webhook. Like the webhook is very mysterious for people.
Yeah.
Yes, but otherwise, I think we got this.
Yeah. Put simply, webhook is basically like a way that apps on the internet can send SMS messages to each other. That's the analogy that I use, but there's a reason why we have a full lesson in our course dedicated to webhooks. They're a very, very powerful concept to master, but we're going to make it even simpler in the agent that we built. Awesome. So that's a quick demo of what we'll be building. Now, what I want to do is, rather than just jumping into the live build and give you this system prompt that I have here, as well as this blog reference markdown, which is what I would typically do in these live sessions, I want to go a little bit into how I actually got there and how can we teach agents to write good copy. And so step one, whenever we want an agent to write good copy, we need to find out what good looks like. So what are good examples of blog articles that match YouTube videos that we can use and train our agent on? Now, we haven't started doing this at 9X yet. It's something that we will be doing after this live session, because everything I built, we're going to apply for ourselves, but we need to go out and find what good looks like. And so what I basically found, I think this is one of the all-time greats of YouTube educational creators, and that is, I don't know how many of you know Jeff Su. So Jeff is putting out amazing content on YouTube, and for all of his YouTube videos, he basically creates these blog articles that match. Now, obviously, majority of his traffic is coming from YouTube, but for him, it's a no-brainer that whenever he creates a YouTube video, for instance, like master 85% of Google Gemini in 12 minutes, he should also create a blog article, Google Gemini, a complete guide. So what we can do is take inspiration, and what I really like about the way that Jeff teaches and communicates, he's very down to earth, it's very conversational, and it's not really, doesn't sound like AI, and he doesn't use grandiose words like this is next level, this is going to break the internet, replace your whole marketing team with AI agents. He's very down to earth, conversational, and talks like a person would. And so I want to train my AI agent up to sound like whoever's writing these blogs on Jeff's blog article. So what I can basically do, and this is one tool that I really like using quite a lot, and if no one has basically used this before, there's the Notion web clipper. So what you can do, this is a little Chrome extension, so you can just search for Notion web clipper in your Chrome extensions marketplace. And what you can do is when you're looking at these blog articles, you can simply save the page. And what this does is this will basically clip everything, and then you have it in your Notion. And so if I open this one up in Notion, the reason why I like doing this is Notion blocks are built off something that is known as Markdown. So here you can basically see is when I copy this blog article over, it keeps all the formatting exactly how it was in the blog article. And that's very important for large language models to understand this structure. So all of the heading 2s are still here, heading 2s. If I have a look at this, right now this is the heading 2 block. This is our title. We have bold text. It kept everything. And if I basically go and select everything here in my Notion page and copy, what I can do is simply go over to any code text editor. And when I paste this in, what you'll notice happens is here we see we've got these little like hashtag symbols, and we've got some like all bullet points have been converted to like minus signs, or here this is an image, right? And all this is, what this format is known as Markdown. And when we're writing content, writing copy, Markdown is one of the best ways for large language models to understand formatting, understand how the text should be written, when should there be line breaks, what is the hierarchy of the text. So here, 2 hashtags basically means this is a heading 2. And what's great is we can basically clip 3 or 4 of these articles. And so now I'm basically collecting what does good look like. And the way I basically went about this, and this is very important, is when you're collecting good examples of what good looks like, also think about what content do you want to create on the other side. Because what I can see here is Jeff's got different types of content that he uses. So for instance, he's got these top 5 AI tips for iPhone users, top 5 ChatGPT use cases for professionals. These are what you'd call listicles. And if, for instance, if I only collected listicles, my AI agent is only going to be good at writing listicles. So what I did is I collected 3 or 4, one of these listicles, one of these step-by-step tutorials. So build your first AI agent in N8N. I don't know if I can say that word in a Make workshop, but I'm going to say it anyway because we're tool neutral here at 9X. But this is a tutorial, a step-by-step tutorial, which is another type of video that we make. And then we also have these complete guides. So what I basically did is if I just go into, I'll open up my desktop and let me grab it here. I just basically downloaded 4 of these different articles to basically collect what good looks like. So these are 4 blog articles. And then that brings us on to step 2. And that is having AI analyze the examples of good copy. And for this, what I basically did is I went into Claude and I just uploaded those 4 Markdown files. And I basically asked Claude to perform a detailed analysis. And here what it did is it's analyzed the 4 blog articles and extracted clear patterns. Just decided to reload there. Let me find that section. You can see I had quite a long conversation here with Claude, and I just attached those 4 Markdown files, and then it was able to understand the structure of the articles. Here you can see that basically this is how all articles follow the structure. Then there were some sentence patterns. There were sort of different tones. And what I basically ended up with was asking it to create a couple of different things. And I'm going to go and open up that document here in a second. Basically, I told it just to create a system prompt for me, but as well as a system prompt, I asked it to create this blog style guide. And so what this basically does is it's a way that whenever I have my AI agent creating a blog article, it's going to look at this style guide and think, okay, I need to create an opening hook. What are some examples of good opening hooks? How should they sound? What language should they use? What transition phrases should I use? How can I explain complex concepts with analogies? And so what I would do is you basically ask Claude to analyze it. But then what I've done is basically move on to step 3, and this doesn't have to be Claude, it can be ChatGPT, it can be Gemini. Then ask AI to convert that analysis into a system prompt and also a guide. And so basically I did those things, and then we're left with these two. So here we have the full system prompt that we'll be using today for our AI agent. So the AI agent knows what its role, what information it's going to receive, and that it has this reference document. And then as well, we have that reference document style guide. Yeah. Any questions on that?
Yes, just 2 questions on Markdown.
Yeah.
What was the question again, Justine? That was, how did you get the Markdown files? And what was the code program that you pasted into to show the Markdown script?
Yeah.
I know your secret tips.
Exactly. So number 1, Notion Web Clipper. So whenever you're on any blog article in the web, Notion Web Clipper here, it's an extension, hit save page, then you can simply open it up in Notion. Then what you can basically do here is if I copy everything on this page, so I just press Command A to copy everything, you can copy this and add this to any code editor. So the one I was using here was Visual Studio Code. If you don't want to go and download another program, what you can also do here is inside Notion itself, you can basically add a code block. And if I paste what I just copied, you'll see now, and I change this to Markdown, it's basically converted everything here that we have well formatted with headings into what is known as Markdown format. So everything that was a heading 2 has these 2 hashtags. Everything that is an image or a link has these square brackets and rounded brackets. So it's basically all AI needs to understand the structure of this content. Does that sort of answer the question?
I think so.
Yeah.
What's the vibe in the chat? Yes, I think so.
Yeah. I saw someone, Mohammed's just keen to start building AI agents. So let's do it then, I would say.
Yeah, there was a question, why Notion and not a simpler Google Docs? Because Markdown.
Exactly. There is one hack with Markdown and Google Docs, but Notion's really good. And what I really like is with the Notion Web Clipper, we have here this database called Links, where whenever we clip something from a website, it's all saved in a database, and it's just a nicer view than, can you do this with Google Docs? Absolutely. Is it as smooth as using the Notion Web Clipper and having it then in Markdown format? No, it's not. Yeah, perfect. All right, and that leads us on to step 4, which is whenever you're doing this and you're creating your system prompt in your guide, very, very important. That's what we're going to do when we build this, is testing and iterating. This probably won't work the first time. You could see from my back and forth there with my Claude chat, I had to sort of guide it a little bit. So testing and iterating is always very important. All right, so then we have a 45-minute build ahead of us. So what I would like everyone to do is open up the tutorial page, which I think Justine will be sharing in the chat right now. And maybe, I don't know if there's a way that we can pin the chat.
Yeah. Pin it again.
So Justine just shared.
Found it.
And maybe people can just use the thumbs up reactions, or once you've basically opened up the tutorial page and you can view it.
That's a lot of thumbs up. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So I'm also going to open up this guide. So where are we here? All right. So well, let's build this out step by step. And we're going to actually get started by building our agent in Make, obviously. So here in your
One
Make
thing,
scenario,
Jan, sorry, someone asked if you could maybe zoom a little bit, just one.
yeah,
So it's more readable. Just
perfect.
one zoom. Yeah.
And maybe what I will also do is before we get into building the agent in Make, I just want to show for everyone quickly the step that I had in the preparation guide, and that is for cloning this Airtable base that we're going to be working with. So I'm just going to here in the prep guide, clone this Airtable base. And all you need to do at the top here is click copy base. And you can see here it's got the data that we need to get started. And as I showed you, this you can make dynamic with another Make scenario. We probably won't put it in our graveyard workspace. Let me put it here in business and add base. So it takes a little bit longer when I'm screen sharing. And all I'm going to do to make it easier for me to find this, I'm just going to call this YouTube videos Jan. And here we go. Airtable is going to prompt you with its AI. You can basically just minimize this one to the side. So here we have our Airtable base with the data that we need to get started. We have the interfaces here. And what you'll need to do is if you want to use these interfaces, just click on interfaces. I have two set up. Just hit publish the interfaces, and then you're good to go. Now, what will happen is if I basically set any of these to generate draft, nothing will happen because nothing's connected yet. This is a brand new Airtable base. We haven't connected it to an AI agent. So let's go and start that process. So let me move this one down here. And now I'm going to in Make on the left-hand side, click AI agents.
Maybe
Now we
one
can
thing,
see,
Leanne, on
yeah,
the Airtable link, the Airtable base to duplicate is not in the instructions, it's in the
prep guide.
I will share it again. You have
Yeah.
a couple of people that asked for the link again. We'll share it in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can even, maybe we can even share directly the base cloning link. Candace, are you supposed to be doing this with us? I've done it in a way that yes, you can. However, this is being recorded. You'll receive the recording tomorrow. So if you prefer to actually take this in and then tomorrow try and build this live and pause along the way, but it's meant to be that we can build this live together. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to click here on create an agent. And the first thing that you'll notice here on the top is a connection. Now, if you've never connected any large language model provider to Make, you should have your API key that you had from the preparation guide. All you need to do here is simply click add, and then you basically select which AI do you want to use. Now, I haven't tested yet, but Make also now have their own AI provider where you can actually just start using it and basically consume tokens. I like having my API key and directly using one of the models. So as I said, I recommend using Claude if you have an API key. What you'll need to do here is paste your API key in here, give your connection a name, hit save, and then it will basically be added. So I've already done this, and very important is you should never show your API key with anyone on a live stream. So mine is always already secure, and I'm going to be using my Anthropic connection, depending on which large language model provider you use. So here I've got Anthropic. That allows me to select Claude Sonnet 4. If I were to change this one to Gemini, now I get access to the different Gemini models. Yeah. So as I said, I'm a big Claude fan when it comes to writing. You will also be able to make this work with Gemini or OpenAI. One thing to know is when you create an AI agent the first time, you will not be able to change the model yet. Maybe change that in the future. But right now you're stuck with the provider. You can always change the model. Okay, so I'm just going to call this one YouTube to blog agent. And now what we can do is add in our system prompt. And so over in the instructions, what I've got here in Markdown is something that I can easily just copy here. And I'm going to drop in the first system prompt to our agent and hit save. And now our agent is created, but we still need to configure it. So that's it for step one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait 1 minute for anyone to catch up and I'm going to drop in a message, respond with a
There's a bit of struggle on the API key side on how to connect to LLMs.
Okay.
Maybe we can show. So first explaining, yes, you will need to buy some credits.
Exactly. The only one that I think is still free, I'm not sure if it's the case anymore, was Gemini. So if you want to, so that's why in this preparation guide that I sent before the workshop, you have detailed instructions, little videos on how to connect your Claude API key, how to get your Gemini API key, and how to get your ChatGPT API key. What it is, it's very, very straightforward. So for instance, here, if I open up OpenAI developer account, here, if I log in, I'm not going to show you any of my API keys, but I'll just show you where you can get them. So for instance, here, if I search on the left-hand side, what do I have to search here? API keys. So we have this section. What I can do is create a new API key. I'll give this one a name and select create secret key. It will basically show you on the screen a code, which I'm not going to do here because then everyone sees my API key. And all you need to do is then copy that code into your Make AI agent settings. So in your agent settings, click on add a new connection. And in this case here, it's tied to Anthropic. Drop in the API key and hit save. But it really depends on which one you set up. All right, let me see. Do I have anyone able to do step one? Yeah, a few people are done.
Yeah, bravo, guys.
Okay.
Oh.
Make is not letting add your own model. It's stuck with their own AI. Okay, interesting. So for everyone else, when you create a new AI agent here, you're not able to select the different connection types. Is that what's happening? Okay. Got it. So maybe on the free plan, you're not. What I would do is then just go ahead and use the Make AI provider and see how that goes. But yeah, eventually, like that should be enough to start building and then try and upgrade to one of these. But that's very good feedback to know. I'm just going to move ahead then with the build. So what we've done is we've added our system prompt, but obviously that's not enough to guide it how it should write good copy. So over here in the instructions next, what we can do is after we have given it a system prompt, we need to give our agent context of what the good writing looks like, which we have a little bit in the system prompt. But here what you can do is basically download this blog reference markdown file that I have prepared. So you can just click on that and then it should land in your downloads. And then back in our AI agent here, I'm just going to under context click add. And here again, we can see the different files supported. Markdown is one of them. I'm just going to choose file and then upload that blog reference guide and then hit upload. Yeah, so I've got a few people saying that the ability to pick your own large language model is only available on the Pro and up. For anyone who would like, also in the pre-workshop prep, I understand everyone's quite busy, but next time do your pre-workshop prep. I also have a link here where you basically get 1 month for free on the Pro plan. So obviously maybe now you can't get it live, but all you need to do is click on this link. I can even paste it here in the chat. Then create your account and you get 1 month for free on the Pro plan, which means then you'll be able to connect your own large language models. But for now, if you just want to try and get through it, just use the Make large language model. Awesome. So then what we've basically done is we've got an agent set up with a system prompt and some context about how to write. So let's actually go and test this out. And this is what's very nice is before we even go and add this agent into a Make scenario, what I can do here is I can simply actually test this inside the make agent settings by sending it a message. So again, what I've got here is in these instructions, I have some mock data of one of our videos, the title and the full transcript. So let me go and copy this one. And let's paste it in. What's very cool here is when you do this in Make and you use this testing feature, you can actually see the different decisions that the agent is making and when it's using its different tools and context. So you can see our agent has basically sprung into gear. And the first thing it's doing, it's pulling in a bunch of context from this reference guide. And so if we take a look here, what it basically asks for is like, hey, how do I write opening hooks and templates for value proposition examples? And then what this retrieval, this RAG system basically spat back is everything it needs to know from this reference guide about how to write good opening hooks. It then did that as well for writing technical instructions, formatting and research section examples, and as well personality, voice, and conversational tone. And so let's see in a second here, right now what's happening is under the hood is this make agent is actually writing the blog article. And in a second, it will basically present it to us. As I said, it's typically taking around a minute and a half per blog article, but that's obviously much faster than a person would write it. Okay. So Marilyn said mine was really quick. Was it good is the important question. For everyone asking where you can get the system instruction, that is in the link that we shared previously. So let me share that again here. It'd be great if Zoom has a feature where we can basically pin these messages. Okay, our agent's really working overtime here. Okay, perfect. And now we have our blog article, The Best AI Tools of 2025, a comprehensive guide after testing 325 solutions. And we have a well-formatted guide, and it's basically even decided to split the tools into different categories, which is very cool. It's created these like heading 2s with level 1, and this really follows the tone and the language, both of like what I speak in the YouTube video, but also what we're basically pulled in from those best practice examples from Jeff's blog. Yeah, so this is a really good way, and I wouldn't, before you actually go and like implement the next step of bringing this agent into a scenario, make sure first at a step like this that you're consistently getting good results. All right, so let's move on then to the next step in the tutorial. So what we've done is we've set up our agent here in the system prompt, added the guide, and now we've tested that, hey, we're getting a pretty decent already first result. And so what we want to do now is actually give our agent the ability to save this article that it creates to our Airtable base. And so for that, what I've basically created is in these instructions here, and don't worry if you're following along and you do not have this yet, in the email tomorrow, you'll also receive these full instructions as well. All right, so step 4, now we need to equip our agent with a tool so that it can publish those blog articles. Because right now we have our Airtable base. We want to have an article that we say, hey, generate a draft, but we want the agent to be able to write this back to our Airtable base. So it appears here under blog articles to review. So what we need to do, and what I've basically got here in these instructions, is a scenario blueprint, it's called, that you can simply import into your Make scenario. So all you need to do is click on this one and download the agent tool. This will save into your downloads. And then in Make, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this agent tab open, but actually open a new tab in my scenarios. So here now, instead of AI agents, I'm in scenarios, and I want to create a new scenario. And rather than building out this scenario from scratch, all I'm going to do is import a blueprint. And that was the blueprint that you should just have been able to download from those instructions. So here I'm going to import this blueprint, the agent tool, and save, because it sort of tried to do it like the IKEA effect, that you can build along, but that some of it has already been done for you. So all you can see here for this tool, it's actually quite interesting. It's just one module. It's just update a record in Airtable. And the way it works is our scenario here has 3 inputs. First of all, the ID of the current blog page we're working on. And in Airtable, that's the record ID. We then also want the blog title and the blog body. And for each of these, I've basically given a small description. And this description basically helps the agent understand how it should fill in all of these fields. So for instance, for the blog body, I've got it set up is the markdown formatted full blog article. Now, if we click into this Airtable module, now what we need to do is connect our Airtable account. And for everyone wondering about OAuth, this is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to create a new Airtable connection, and I'm going to select Airtable OAuth, and let's just call this one Jan Make Demo.
And Jan,
hit
what is
save.
another key point where people want to see that again? How did you import the blueprint?
Yes. Okay, so let me go back to it. So here in your make, when you create a new make scenario, let me just do it again from scratch. Create a new make scenario. And then in the bottom right here, we have these 3 dots where it says more, and then I can import blueprint. Yeah. And just to go back over it again, you can basically download the blueprint from these instruction files here. Just click on this one, that will download it to your laptop. Click import blueprint. Then you choose the file and you basically select that file that you just downloaded, open it up and hit save. And there you've got this module basically dropped in. I'm not going to update my Arc now. Now, what we obviously need to do is do this connection. So let me start that process again. So I'm going to add a new connection to Airtable. I'm going to select OAuth. This is much simpler. Jan Demo Make. And what's going to happen is it's going to open up Airtable. And what you need to do is add some specific resources or add a base. So in my case, I'm going to select add a base. And I'm just going to search for that YouTube videos. And I renamed my YouTube videos Jan. And this is basically giving Make access to edit that Airtable base. I'm going to select grant access. And what should happen is if you do this, you jump back into Make. And all of a sudden now what we need to do here is, because when in the template I had a different base connected, what you'll need to do here is click on the base, which will be Jan YouTube videos Jan, or in your case, maybe you didn't rename it and it's called YouTube videos template. And what you can see here, all I'm doing is I'm updating a record based on the page ID that our agent's going to fill in. And the only things that I'm adding here are the blog title, the blog body, and I've set the agent step to ready for review, because they're the 3 different steps that we have in our Airtable base. I can hit save. Now, if I try and basically turn this one on, Make's going to give me an error saying, hey, this one has some scenario inputs. And what we need to do here is update the scheduling so that it's set to what is known as on demand. Because in Make, you can basically have scenarios run at certain intervals. So you could say every 15 minutes, run this automation. In this case, because our agent is going to decide when it wants to use this tool, we need this set to on demand. We can hit save and we can activate the scenario. It might give you a little bit error here. Don't worry. Just be persistent with it and then turn this one on, and then just make sure you can even refresh. Perfect.
On the connection for Airtable, Jan.
Yeah.
It looks like we the automation agency years were a bit quick on the stuff, the basic stuff. How do you connect to Airtable? I think some people getting an error where they are failing to load the data, so they get access to the base, no access the table.
Exactly.
I think that's a bit
awesome. So here in Airtable, your module in Make, you want to add a new connection. The connection that you want to select is OAuth, and then give your connection a name, and then hit save. And what this will do, this one will bring you to Airtable. And here in Airtable, we have to select what do we want to give Make access to. So because if you're new to Airtable, you probably only have one base. If you're an existing Airtable user, maybe you have several. So what we need to do here is click add a base and then search for whatever, basically your YouTube videos. And I've named mine YouTube videos Jan. Yours might be YouTube videos template, or if you renamed it. So I'm just going to search for YouTube videos and then grant access. Once you grant the access, what it'll do is it'll jump back over into Make, or the last tab that you had open actually, and now it is connected. You will be getting an error in here. What you need to do is basically remap this base. So if you click on this drop down, just let it basically load and then click on the basically the base name that matches what you had in mind. And the rest then should be good to go. Awesome. All right, so all we've done here is just create a tool for our agent to use. And what we need to do now is go back into our agent and actually add it as a tool. So here under System Tools, I'm going to select Add. And what it's going to show you here is any scenario that you have in your Make account that is set to on-demand scheduling. So we see here we have this Submit Blog Article for Review. It's active, but I can't add it yet because it's asking me to create a description. So what we need to do is give it a very short description. This description should help the agent understand when it should use this tool. So I might just quickly write something like, always use this tool when you are ready with the completed blog article. Yeah, this one is very quick. It's just letting the agent know. So use this tool when you've completed the blog article, use this tool to submit the blog article, just a little description so that the agent knows when it should use this tool. Then we hit save. And then I can basically tick this one. So after you've added a description, this one should be available to tick. And I'm just going to select add. So now my agent is equipped with a tool. It can actually interact with that Airtable base.
Can you maybe just because of the base and so on, just recap what you just did? So you clicked on Systems Tools to add a tool.
Yep. Then here under the Systems tool, it will show you all the tools that you have available. If you're new to Make, you should just have the Submit Blog Article for Review tool that you just imported. And what you need to do is just add a description to this tool. Then you're able to select it and then click Add. And that tool here is now in your agent settings.
And Jan, very important because also I see this question. How do you save a scenario? Can you show again the saving the scenario, saving the agent? Very important.
I think it's the only. It's still the only use now of a floppy disk is that it's used as a save icon. So here at the bottom we have the floppy disk, and you can just hit save to save a scenario. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit.
Very important, this one.
Yes.
Sometimes you lose track of your work or what you think you see on screen. You're like, well, I configured it this way. Why is it not working? That's because you didn't click on the little floppy disk. Happened to me 100 times.
Yeah. And thanks, Mohammed, in the chat for copying in the agent description. So if you want to just have a copy paste tool description, Mohammed has just added it in the chat there. All right. So time to bring everything together a little bit, because we have now our agent working and we can test here all we want, but the real power comes when we bring this into an automation. So that brings us on to the next step. So we've equipped our agent with some tools. And what we need to do in order to, so actually one last step before we move on. Right now in the system prompt that we have here in our agent, the system prompt is just telling it how to write a good blog article. It doesn't mention anything about the tools that it should use. And that's very, very important is in the system prompt, you need to tell your agent, hey, you have these tools that you have access to, and when should you use them? So what we want to do is we want to add a little step to the bottom of our existing system prompt. And I'm going to copy this one. And then I'm just going to paste it in here. So what this step says is final step article submission. Always use the Submit Blog Article for Review tool when you have completed drafting the blog article. This tool requires exactly 3 inputs. And so here I've listed the 3 inputs and just telling it the blog body must include the full article from the opening paragraph through the closing section. This is a mandatory final step for your workflow. Do not consider your task complete until you have submitted using this tool. So very, very clear instructions to our agent that, hey, write a good blog article, but your job isn't done until you've submitted this and saved it to Airtable. Exactly, Seth, and save. Perfect. All right. So we've got our agent set up. We're here in the testing mode. Let's bring it into an automation. So what we've got is we're going to now create a scenario that's going to be used to trigger our agent. So again, here I've got a blueprint that you can download. So just go ahead and download that blueprint. Now back in Make, let's open up a new scenario. So I'm going to go back to my scenarios, create a new scenario. Here in the bottom right, under More, I'm going to import the blueprint. And I'm going to import this send video transcript to blog agent tool. And as I said at the start, when I showed you the complete setup that we have, it was using a webhook. I've made this one a little bit more beginner friendly. So the way that this scenario works is it's using a search records Airtable tool. What we need to do is we need to go back into here and again, make sure you've got the right base selected because I'm importing a blueprint. So let me just make sure I've got my demo make connection connected and that you need to be connected to the correct base. So here, YouTube videos Yun is the base that I'm using. And now you can see that there's no errors. It's looking like it's working. And what I've done here is retrieve all records from my Airtable base where the agent step is set to generate draft. So if I look in Airtable, right now in my different videos, I have one video here set to generate draft. So in your Airtable base that you've cloned, just go ahead and change one of these to generate draft so that it will basically pull something off. But before you go and actually run this, what we need to do is we also need to configure this Make AI agent. So I'm going to click into this one. And now what we need to do, all of this mapping I've already provided for you, so that should be good to go. But you need to select the agent that you've created. And so in Make, you can, in any scenario, drop in multiple AI agents. So the way you'd always think about them is in the AI agent section, you build your agent, and then you can drop this into multiple scenarios. So if you think about right now, this is a very specific agent on converting YouTube articles to YouTube videos to blog articles. Maybe you only train an agent on writing good blog articles. And then you can drop this into many different scenarios. Every time you have a live webinar, you get it to create a blog article based on the webinar. Every time you have a YouTube video. So you have different scenarios where you can reuse these agents. And you'll see here that everything you configured in the agent is also shown here. You have your context, your scenarios, and what I've basically got set up is the thread ID is going to be taking the ID of the Airtable record. And in my message that I sent to my agent is saying, hey, here's the ID of the page, here's the video ID, and here's the transcript. And that's everything the agent needs to create the article and actually submit this. So once this is set up, make sure you have Airtable records set to generate drafts. So let me do this one for you. I'll do it again for this. It is the shortest transcript, so that's why I'm using it, so it doesn't take too long. And then in my scenario here, I'm just going to run this one manually. So what we're doing is while we're building this, you can just run this manually. And now this agent is getting to work creating this blog article. When this one is run in about a minute and a half, what we should see here in our interface under blog article to review, that a new blog article should appear. So while that one's running, Alex, have we got anything else to touch on?
For a few people or for, let's say, subset, we can't quantify, but there are a lot of people from it was a bit fast.
Yeah.
So we had Faiza who asked if maybe we can have a quick review of where she stopped at the description scenario and saving. Maybe, I don't know. So either you can finish through and then we do a quick wrap up of like what are the different components again. But I think in general, like for some people it was a bit fast.
Yeah. And it's a thing, right? Is like when you create these AI agents, you have many different components. As I said, there's like 6 different components. So there are some things to set up. And like obviously in 90 minutes, it's a juicy one to cover everything. But as I said, hopefully that through the recording, you can also follow along. Let's see how that agent is going. So this one's still running. So Alex, were there any parts in particular that I should jump back on? So when we added the agent tool here, what we need to do is add a description to our agent. Because if you think about it, right now, this blog agent is very, very simple. It's very detailed when it comes to writing good blog articles. But in terms of calling different tools, it's very simple because it only has one tool to call. But imagine if, like our previous AI agent that we had, let me see if I can still open it up. Our Slack assistant, this one has 3 different tools that it could call, and potentially our agent could have any number of tools. And the reason why we need to then add very clear descriptions is so that the agent knows, hey, when given a task, when should I use any of these tools? What purpose? And basically that description is just an easy way to give the agent a helping hand to know, hey, you've got this tool, always use this tool when you are ready with the completed blog article. But from building these agents, believe me, this is not enough. You should not only rely on the tool description. You should also add a part, whenever you add a tool, you need to update your system prompt so that you, in the system prompt, tell the agent all the tools that it has and when it should use each tool. Does that answer the question a little bit, or like clarify that?
I think so. Yes, I think so.
Let me
Yes,
see.
go ahead and like yeah, just like overview of the different components and what you've built and how they connect to each other. I think there's some little details on the connections when duplicating the table base and so on. But is the process of building live?
Absolutely. And I've noticed that a few people are getting the errors with Airtable. I've shown it already a few times, but when you're setting up your Airtable base, once you've made a connection, there will be already a base here selected in the base dropdown. You need to change it because that was the base that I had connected when I created the blueprint. So you need to click here on this dropdown and make sure it's connected to the base that you have access to. If you do not change this dropdown, you will get that error saying, hey, you don't have permission to access the base because you're trying to access the original base that I had created in the blueprint. So make sure you change this base here, and that should hopefully solve the problems.
Yeah, so this one came a few times in the chat. And the reason what you see, it's another example of in Make. So this is a platform that connects to a variety of other platforms. And this is an example of what you see is not what is there. You are not connected to this table, to this Airtable base. It's just a memory of the one that Jan connected when he created the case, and you need to switch with yours.
Exactly.
Further afterwards, the table below. There's no table videos because you don't have access to the space. It's confusing, but yeah, that's how things are there, unfortunately.
Nice. But I think that that fixed the issue for Ray, I think. Or no, still not. Perfect. Nice. All right. Ted's already got the article. Really nice. Let's see. My agent has also run. So let's have a look here in my Airtable interface. And here we can see the best AI tools for 25, from personal productivity to business transformation. Awesome. And everything here with the links, like this isn't even in the transcript. That's how good, scarily good this is. You obviously would need to verify all of these links are the correct one. But this is at a super, super high level of, like, I don't know, Alex, what do you think? But this is something that will be making its way to the 9X blog very soon.
Yeah, looks very good.
Yeah.
Very good too.
So let's take this a step further though, because content writing is iterative. It's back and forth. You can imagine this like giving this to a copywriter and say, hey, create this. They'll create a first draft and maybe you want to make some changes. So we want to be able to have our agent receive some feedback from us and move to the next step. So what we will do here is we need to create the way the Airtable interface is set up. And so if you use this in the interface, when I add some feedback, so maybe I want to, let me have a look at something. What can I improve? Let me say, can you make the paragraph on Whisper flow a bit longer since it is the first tool? And then I'm going to click on send feedback. So this only appears when I have feedback. That's what's the power of Airtable interfaces. So I can click send feedback. And what that button is doing in the interface, this doesn't work if you're just using the Airtable data view. It's automatically updated this agent step to updates needed. So now I've given some feedback, what I want my agent to update. And so that we can have this feedback loop with our agent, what I'm going to do is in the instructions, I'm going to download the next blueprint, which is send feedback to blog agents. Let me download that one. And this way will be good also repetition for you to see how I import another blueprint and connect the Airtable modules again. So let's go here to scenarios. Look, here we go. All right, create a scenario. Then in the bottom right, import blueprint. Choose file. And this time I'm going to do the send feedback to blog agent blueprint. And you can see it's very, very similar. So again, here we have this search Airtable records. Whenever I import a blueprint, and in my case, what I also need to do is actually change the connection that I'm using because I have multiple connections. Now that I've changed connection, you can see, hey, it's unable to load data. So let me go and change the base. So it's connected to the right Airtable base. And now everything's looking good. The only difference here is that we're not looking for the ones that are generate draft. We're looking for the Airtable records that are set to updates needed. And then in the make agent, we again need to connect the agent that we have set up, which is our YouTube blog agent. We're putting the same thread ID, and you'll see why this is important in a second. And now the message, the only message that we're sending here is that feedback column from Airtable. Because in Airtable, I provide some feedback, and then I'm just going to give that feedback to my agent. If you compare that to the first scenario here, where I was basically mapping what's the ID, what's the video ID, and the full transcript, I don't need to give it that anymore. I just need to give it this feedback. So let me go and run this one. So I'm going to save. Okay, it's asking me to save this module. And let's run this. So we can see it picked up the I tried 325 AR tools, and the feedback is, can you make the paragraph on Whisperflow a bit longer? Again, this will probably take around a minute, 90 seconds to run. But what we'll see is in this interface, as soon as this is run, this will update and we will have our updated article. And so let's see here on the Whisperflow, right now it's 4 lines. Let's see how it does at just improving that and not changing anything else. And again, while we wait, Alex, are there any questions?
So yeah, Candice was asking, once you run the agent, where should the article appear? So it appears in Airtable.
Yes.
But the interface that we're viewing there, like, so maybe for people to understand, there's Airtable, the database, where the agent writes exactly. And how do we get to this page?
So in Airtable, once you import it, it should look something like this. Then you can click on interfaces, and that's where Airtable allows you to really create custom apps for internal teams. And so it's just a little bit of a smoother interface. You just have to hit publish and then launch, and then you're in this interface view. Yeah, but you can work this both on the data view. You just need to make sure you set this to updates needed once you've given some feedback.
Okay. And then another thing, maybe on the last step on that, the agent writing in Airtable, I think for some people, the agent wrote the article, but the article didn't land in Airtable. So where should they look in order to fix that?
Exactly. So if that's the case, what I would recommend, so make sure you have this tool set up, make sure you've saved it, but not just adding the tool, make sure you've added this extra paragraph, because up until this last paragraph, all of these instructions just talk about the agent writing a bloody good article. As soon as we add the tool, the agent knows, hey, I need to write a bloody good article, but then I need to save it somewhere. I need to save it in this tool. So if the agent is just spitting back the whole blog article, you haven't added the tool, or if you've added the tool, you haven't given it the instructions, which you'll find on the instructions page. And let's see with that. Yep, so our agent here has run. Yes, so our agent has run. Let's take a look at the interface. And now we can see here, it's set back to ready for review. And if we take a look at that Whisperflow, you can see now it's really made it a little bit longer. So maybe I was a little bit vague with it, but you can see this process of giving some feedback and then it updating it. So now you really have this sparring partner. Maybe that's not the right feedback you'd give. I'd probably stick with more like high level things if the agent's gone in the wrong direction, or give it some clarification. But here you can really have an agent, which is almost like a team member that you can go back and forth on creating these blog articles. So someone asking, how do you manually edit the blog? Right now, the way that I've set this up in Airtable interface. So in the data view in Airtable, you have full access over everything. You can just open up the whole blog body and make any changes you need. Yeah. With Airtable interfaces, what you can do is basically select what people should change or not. So here it gets a little bit more into the Airtable specifics now, rather than make AI agents. Let me make this a little bit bigger. In any area here in your interface, you can change this to editable and then publish. So everything here is fully customizable. And now I can freely also myself edit this text.
And that's maybe one of the questions. There were a few questions in the chat. Why do you like Airtable over other tools? You're able to create custom interfaces like this one, and this is basically adding a feature in 3 clicks. Instead of just viewing the blog article, you could have like an interface for people to view the generated article, but they don't have the right to edit it. But for you, you just want to add the right to edit it manually. 3 clicks and you're good to go. And it's superior, in my opinion, superior to a spreadsheet experience, because with a blog article, you have a lot of text, you have a hierarchy of content. It's very difficult to do this, or it's not optimal to do this in a tabular data like this. It's better to have a UI like the one Jan created.
Yeah. And what I really wanted to, I know it added a little bit of friction for this workshop and this demo about involving something like Airtable. I'd purposely made that decision because what I really want people to get out of this is when you set up something like this in Airtable, which is, okay, for sure, maybe you can create an agent that's much simpler, that just takes a YouTube transcripts and spits out a Google Doc. When you start building systems like this in Airtable, where every video we publish lands in here with the full transcript, we can easily then add on extra steps. Let's not just create a blog article. Let's create a separate LinkedIn post for myself, Alex, and our other co-founder, Piv, to write on LinkedIn and share that we have a new video. Let's also create one for the company page. Maybe let's summarize the video for any extra purposes. You can really build in other systems. And also maybe it's not just triggered based on when we have videos, but when we have this live webinar, we can create an AI agent, take the transcript of this full webinar, and generate 3 or 4 LinkedIn posts out of some of the key insights. So when you start building in systems, you can really, things compound, and maybe it's a little bit let's say harder to get going than building a first agent that just takes a YouTube transcripts and saves it to a Google Doc. There you won't be able to have this agent that feedback and makes edits, but also it's not as easy to build in other steps on top of it. So that's why we really like Airtable, of creating these systems that can really compound and then allow you to leverage this as much as possible. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
We have a question from Diane. How do you then export the Airtable blog output to import into your website?
Yeah, so we use Framer, and Framer, thankfully, again, so unfortunately on the site, Framer doesn't have an API yet, which I hope it will. So if it was, you could easily from Airtable, if you're, let's say you're using Webflow, you could go and directly push it via API. Typically, the way we're doing this is you would anyway want to actually copy and paste this data. So that's why I have this set to view only, then you can still copy it. But what I would be doing is simply selecting all of this, copying it and putting it into Framer, and Framer also supports Markdown. Because let's not forget, what we also need to add to this blog article is also images. Right now, I think we'll be very, very close where AI will also take care of that for us. But right now, we would also want to take some care, because if you have a look, for instance, at what we're competing with, Jeff takes quite a lot of care in the screenshots and the images that he adds into his blog articles. And this is something that I wouldn't give to AI just yet, even though we're probably close. But for me, it's like, okay, how can we get to a text written blog article as soon as possible? I then simply copy and paste this out of Airtable, drop it into Framer, and then we add the images where necessary.
A quick question from Elias. How does the agent know when the status of an article changes from generate draft to ready for review?
Yeah. So in the full demo that I showed at the start, this is using like webhooks and automations. What we have here in the simple, like let's say beginner version, we have two scenarios that are set to run on a schedule. So right now this isn't active, but imagine here you'd probably set this to run every hour, so maybe every 60 minutes. And what this Airtable module does specifically, it says, whenever this Airtable module runs, show me all videos where the agent step is set to generate draft. When it's set to generate draft, what it's going to do, it's going to call the agent and give it all the information for this to run the very first time. That agent is going to take care of updating the status to ready for review, since that's how we set it in the tool. And then we have this send feedback agent, which we'd also need to schedule, which then runs and gets back all the videos that are set to updates needed. Now, why webhooks are far superior than these scheduled runs, if I want a blog article out quickly, I don't want to give feedback and then wait for the next 60 minutes for it to run to finally do that. So that's the big advantage of webhooks, but it takes a little bit more technical understanding to set that up. And I know we have a few questions about tokens, so I do want to go into that as well. So let's go into the first run. And what's great is in these make agents, and this is something that I haven't shown yet, what we can see is we can look at the response. So first of all, what the agent actually responded. It used its tool, but it just said, perfect, I've created the comprehensive blog article. We can also see the different execution steps. And this is very, very useful for debugging your agents. So first of all, what happened is the agent got the system prompt, all the details to use its system instructions. Then it received my user message saying, hey, here's the video transcript. It then used some tools. The first tool it used was its context retriever. So it pulled in some information from the style guide. I think there'd be 3 or 4 tools where it probably did this. Here we go again. And now it's using, the assistant says, hey, I've got everything I need. It uses its tools again, the context retriever. And finally, the second to last tool is the submit blog article for review tool. And then the agent replied. And what we can have is in this, like let's say debug mode where we can see the logs here, we can see if I open up this, not execution steps, but token usage summary. So we can see all of this took 126,000 tokens, so quite a lot. Let's go and open up Claude. Let's be very transparent here. And I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. And how much would the following token usage cost for the Claude API with Sonnet 4? And let me just paste in that image. So just to explain while Claude's doing its thing here, when we send something to a large language model, we have a number of tokens in the prompt, and obviously we're giving it a lot of information. We have a large system prompt, we have a very large video transcript, and then it's also going to use some tokens to complete and give it its answer. So in our case here, generating a blog article cost 50 cents. Now, for some people that might seem expensive, but I think if you compare that to the cost it would take a person to get to this outcome, I think it pales in significance. So obviously, if you had only uploaded $5 worth of credit to your Claude account, you could generate 10 of these blog articles. But I think, yeah, for me, it's still something that makes absolutely a lot of sense.
We're spoiled.
Yeah.
Honestly, come on. Like a little bit of top up, but you can do so much with it's still cheap.
Yeah. Yes, Amor, the guide, everything will be available via email. Cheaper than hiring blog writers, absolutely. The best is if you can get a good blog writer to actually build these agents, and they'll probably do it better than anyone.
Could you show again the token count, Jan? I think some people missed it. So they get
Yeah.
the idea that they will be able to estimate how much it costs, but where do you show it in Make?
Exactly. Let me zoom back out a little bit so we can see our agent ran here. And if I click on this little one symbol, here we first of all, it's very useful for debugging. So we see how did our agent respond? What steps did the agent do to get to this response? But then here under token usage summary, we see it's called prompt tokens and completion tokens. So prompt tokens are how much information are we giving to the large language model, and then how much information are we getting back. And the reason why both of these are important is when you look at the pricing of the different APIs, the pricing is generally different depending on whether it's prompt tokens or completion tokens. Awesome. How can you export this agent outside of Make? I don't think that's something that's possible right now. So if you're building Make AI agents, they do live and run inside of Make because it is a no-code tool. So it's done in a visual interface so that everything stays here. It's not like you would go and if you wanted to create an agent that you could export and host yourself, that would probably more be like using Claude Code to actually generate the code that runs the agent. Whereas here we have the benefit of this nice visual interface with these agents. All right, Alex, should we do, is there a couple more questions that we think need answers, or how are we going?
I think there could be an unlimited flow of questions.
Yeah.
I think we covered most of it. Any burning?
So there's a few questions on Make AI pricing. So since at 9X, we are only using our own models, I'm not too familiar with it, but let me have a quick Google here. Make AI token pricing. What I do know is I assume that, so what Make have recently done is they've basically changed from what used to be called operations to credits. And if you're using the Make, maybe someone in the chat can answer me this, could anyone let me know how many credits, if you're using the Make AI model, did it take to run your agent? If there's anyone, just wait in the chat. Because I assume 108K are used for 2 runs. Ray, is that tokens or credits? Okay, so here, Hernani says 15.57 credits. All right, and let's have a look at the different Make plans here. So for instance, if you're on the Pro, let's even go with the more expensive. $16 gets you 10,000 credits. So let's do 16 divided by 10,000. And now you mentioned that was 20 credits to run. And so that would cost you 3 cents. So even cheaper, actually, than my Claude Sonnet model. Maybe the only thing is it's not as, maybe you're not getting as good results or powerful, but that's already like crazy, crazy cheap that it's that many credits. Yeah, and Vicente's, Mark says that he's got a web scraper that runs 3K credits and it's like $3. That's mad. Awesome, and everyone go and connect with Alex on LinkedIn. I like that, a little bit of shameless plugs.
Vicente said, great workshop, guys. It's not simple to explain how to connect all of these tools, and you made it flowing and clear. It was not clear for everyone, but a lot of you got it already. We got also lots of ideas on how we can improve the format. Yeah, like Jan, I think you did a very good job there. It's difficult, guys. It's not an easy tool. If it's the first time you saw Make, and you went all the way through the tutorial, like kudos to you. Because the first time I was in Make, it was a disaster. They had to explain to me 20 times. So, but good job, Jan. Like I think it was really hard to go through. Like building an agent is not easy. It was not for beginners. So if you did it without seeing Make before, congrats to you. If you haven't managed to do it yet, there's the recording, and hopefully you can build your agent.
Absolutely. And yeah, as I said, like tomorrow in your inbox, you'll get the recording, again, everything in Notion where you've easily got the links. Zoom also makes it a little bit of difficult to share links when we have so many people in the chat because everything gets pushed up. But really start playing around with it. As I said, what I showed you today was about generating blog articles. If that's not your thing, just adapt it, but really like use the process that I showed. If it's about finding LinkedIn articles or LinkedIn posts, find 6, 7, 10 examples of what are really, really good LinkedIn posts, train your agent up, test it first, iterate, and then you'll just see how much it'll actually save you in the long run. And then play around with other agents for different purposes. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Then I think we leave it there. And
Yeah,
Alex,
I think
thanks for all your
yeah,
help battling the questions in the chat.
yeah, we need an agent in the Zoom chat. Like this is I thank God there was also Justine because this was heavy,
Yeah,
but it was fun. See you at the
absolutely.
next workshops.
See you in the next one. Zeit, vibe coding. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye bye.